If you're thinking that marketing is just social media or running ads, definitely you shouldn't get into it because you've got the whole concept wrong. The legacy brands, the larger it grew, the more disconnected with the people they got. I think the differentiator was that we were people first. What do people want? What are people thinking? And how are they thinking about it?
What do you look out for in marketers today?
Build credibility. Make your first sale. Make it. It doesn't matter. I think that's the first thing that will give you immense joy. Marketing is one job that is shameless. If you're not shameless, right, then you're not a marketer or you can't be a marketer.
Hey there, welcome to Marketing Mavericks with Indiefolio. Today we have Chetan Siyal with us. You may have seen Chetan's brand Snitch on Shark Tank. Chetan actually was a founding member there and he's currently the CMO. So Chetan's got a very interesting story where he started on the service side and he found the right opportunity at the right time. And we extract insights for young marketers on how really to kind of go out there and find these opportunities for yourself so you can accelerate your career progression. So let's not waste too much time and go right to the conversation. Hey Chetan, thanks for your time and welcome to the podcast.
Hey, hi, how are you doing? Thank you for
I'm
having me.
doing great. Chetan, I think your brand is something a lot of people, I believe, have experienced, have been customers of. And I think your journey is something I feel a lot of young folks who love advertising, who love marketing, would love to, replicate for themselves, right? From, I believe, working on the agency side in a boutique setup to then being one of the core members of a large D2C brand and now being a CMO at such a young age. You've not really followed the traditional path people have to become a CMO. And I'm super excited to kind of unpack that with you. But before all of this, right, so then let me take you back to Bishop Cotton Boys days. I believe that's where you studied, and I think you immediately started doubling down on advertising, right, in your college. So I'm assuming sometime in your school days you realized that advertising and marketing is something you want to build a career in. Can you tell us a little bit about how is it that you got introduced to advertising and marketing?
Yes, it was not something that I decided I want to do advertising or marketing, any of that, right? But as you grow up, the way you talk, the way you approach certain things to life, and the way actually, the more you talk to people, you start realizing that you have a knack of words, or there's something about it in the way you speak. Either be it funny, I don't know, I use sarcasm as my biggest tool, and it just comes out so fluently that suddenly it becomes like, okay, his words are his power. And where better to use it than to either bring products to life and bring magic in whatever that you do. It be it a product, be it a service, be it anything, or be it yourself also, right? That's where I started getting more intrigued into actually words as an entire concept and started loving in whatever that you were doing. Then came along marketing. Okay, let's explore, and then found the interest in it. And then started actually getting very excited about how things are being sold or how things are being portrayed in the world. How can you very magically bring something to life in words, right? I think that is what was the most intriguing part. And I just went along.
That's fantastic. I must say though, when I speak to folks who are curious about marketing, I often see them confused.
Right.
People sometimes think marketing is making ads, working with celebrities. And the deeper they look into it, they realize, okay, it's so broad and maybe a little bit vague too, right? It covers all the piece, cover essentially fundamentally everything about a business. And that really makes somebody apprehensive, right? That is this for a creative brain or is this for an analytical brain, right? So
Right.
let's say if I'm in my 12th or I'm just maybe trying to decide what I'm doing for masters or whatever, or get my first job. How do I know if marketing is for me?
I think, see, at first, if you're thinking that marketing is just social media or running ads, definitely you shouldn't get into it because you've got the whole concept wrong. It's nothing to do with it. I won't tell you that it's a part of it. Also, it's not. That's the last bit to it. Uh, it's a lot to do with storytelling. How can you actually bring something to life, right? Which is non-existent or it's not even there in front of somebody's eyes physically. How can you bring that? the minute they say, yeah, I can do social media, I'm great with Instagram, I think that's the biggest red flag for me. Even when I'm talking to somebody, right, and they say, I'm into marketing. Okay, what are you doing in marketing? I'm social media, or I run Instagram, or I make creative. I think that's not marketing for sure. And it's a mix, right? It's both the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain. You cannot work without creativity. You can't work without some sort of logical thinking to it, because there is so much data, there is so much information that you're supposed to actually understand, grasp, vet it out, and then creatively project it out. So it's not just being creative, nor is it just being analytical about certain things. It's a culmination of both. And it's very close to a CEO or a founder, right? Because you're doing a lot of things. It's just not running an ad or making a creative. It's not how do you do it, why do you do it, how do you understand people, do you understand the way they think, how are you able to do that? I think a lot of those inputs, psychological and I think practical, that's what brings this makes this interesting and brings this to life.
I want to now talk about first jobs, right? There is so much advice given to young folks. कि पहले job में sales करो, sweat under the sun, understand what a customer actually is telling you. They are recommended, go to the agency side first,
Right.
experience multiple industries. And today, if you've done an MBA, big brands will also offer you a direct brand manager role, right? Or a brand or a marketing executive. And you can directly kind of go to that. While there is no right or wrong, I think the decision you took was the consulting side. Could you tell us a little bit more about how advantageous it is to first build your career in service? And if not, what are the alternatives and why?
No, I think it's tremendous to be working on an agency side, and it has only pros. There are no cons to it, and I'll tell you exactly why. It has taught me so much, because you're working on so many different baskets, right? Like you're working from real estate to jewelry to fashion to anything under the services like hospitality. There's an array of industries that you're working with. Everyone has one problem statement, right? Everybody wants sale. But now the ways to get that or ways to communicate that are so different. I think that opens up your brains to another level wherein, okay, this industry works in this manner, or this is the kind of clientele that you're catering to, and this is how he thinks. Versus somebody else, when you come down to probably, uh, I don't know, a mediocre stage, right? Wherein this brand is catering to an audience from 20 to 30. How does this person think? What are these challenges, or what are the industry challenges over here? I think it teaches you everything, because you've got to do from strategy. Why are you doing what you're doing? When you're suddenly just directly on the brand side, you're going to be so defined or specific to that role. You have no exposure of what's happening,
Mm.
or how else do I go about this. There are no two ways of thinking. There's only one way, and you get so brain clogged after certain time that अरे एक ही brand पे काम कर रहा हूँ, कितना सोच सकता हूँ, what am I supposed to do over here, right? That my past taught me so much about it, so many different industries that I was able to connect with, work with, understand their problem statements, and how do you apply one specific goal but into a million different ways, right? If you're doing an event, okay, for real estate, how are you doing this event? How is it different? Let's say for hospitality, if you're doing an event, how are you supposed to do? How are you supposed to talk to these guys? uh, it is I don't know, it was tremendous, and it's a must have experience. People, even the new age ones, before joining a brand, it doesn't matter, at least for 1 year, I won't say 6 months, you will learn nothing. Even if it is at least bare minimum 1 year, work on an agency side, take more than what's on your plate, digest it, then start reaching out to brands and reaching out to doing anything else that you wish to.
Agreed. Agreed. Um, I think you spent, I was just checking about what, almost 8 years in the agency side before moving to the brand side, right? Um, when do you think the time is good for you to actually make that move? And when I'm making that move, let's say there are some agency folk listening to this, they've done their deed for 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, and now they want to go to the brand side. What do I need to unlearn, and what do I need to kind of get myself to kind of become an expert of?
See, there's no right time or wrong time. As long as you're a fast learner, you know you have it in you, because this is very it's inborn. Okay, this is a talent. Sure, it's a skill you can develop, but it's a talent, because gift of the gap doesn't come just uh, by reading or anything, right? There is one corner, because you're an artist. Sure, you can practice it to make it better, but this is something that you're born with, or a singer, right? This is a talent. I would definitely call this a talent, and it's not
Right.
that it can just be learned off the shelf and you're a marketer. Sure, you can do all the analytical thinking and all of those things by learning, right? What I've learned, at least initial stages, I used to think with my heart and do it with all my brains. Okay. As you start learning, you're like, dude, why are you doing what you're doing? I started unlearning this. Think with your brains, do it with all your heart, right? So what happened? At least you're thinking very reasonably. Sure, take the risk, go a little beyond, and then when you're executing something, then you put full force. Then
Mm.
you go all out, go all out into it, and make sure that the way you've envisioned this particular campaign or this particular project to go live, I think then put all your heart into it. Because see, everything looks rosy in presentations. You know what? This is a campaign presentation. This is what we're going to do. This is how it's going to be. So many times I've seen campaigns fail, and it's all fluff over the internet just to make it look like, oh, you know what a killer campaign.
Right.
It's not, because when you're on the other side of it, right? Like when we were to do an event or something, the first event we did, I kid you not, when we went there, and it was such a disappointment. And like, dude, it takes more than everything you've got to actually curate an event and do it.
Yeah.
That's when you start. You know what? It's not a cakewalk. I think start using your brains how it needs to happen.
Yeah.
Just because you've shown it in a presentation and you're expecting, "Arey, ye to aayenge for sure. Let it be free." No, you have to go all out. You have to go all out about it, and make sure it's the way you're envisioning it.
Chetan, now, I want to ask you a little bit more about Snitch, right? So, generally, the advice given to any new company is have a core differentiator. Pick a blue ocean where, there is less competition. You're very unique. And men's fashion and, kind of picking apparel, I think very cluttered market, lot of big players. And
Yeah,
that kind of really questions any founder that, yaar, bahut hai, how will I ever beat the giants, right? And you guys have been a big success.
right.
So for all those folks, who want to maybe launch their own brand today, maybe in cluttered markets, what's the 0 to 1 framework you use, right? How is it that you're able to come up with a thesis that maybe I'll create something which will actually work? If you could maybe share your story of Snitch and maybe give some takeaways, would be awesome.
You see, what we believed, right? And what I stand by is, at least the legacy brands, the larger it grew, the more disconnected with the people they got, right?
Mm.
What needs to happen here, and what was our thinking also when we started, like 100,000 people asked us the same thing: what is your differentiator? And plus, clothing is one thing that can be replicated.
Yeah.
Anybody can, with a garment factory or a mill, or anyone can come and replicate whatever that you're doing. There is no IP over here, there's nothing, right? I think the differentiator was that we were people first. What do people want? What are people thinking? And how are they thinking about it? All the legacy brands were in that same cycle or monotonous thinking of seasonal. We'll do a summer launch, we'll do a summer spring launch, and then we'll do an autumn winter drop.
Mm.
That was the cycle. Every 3 months, every quarter, your collection changes. If not, everything was the same.
Mm.
Then there came a time wherein people started, actually, at least the men started taking care of themselves, because they also want to actually make an impact. The first impression rule started coming in so powerfully. Why should girls have all the fun? I think men took it very literally, right? And uh, we took it upon us that definitely, why should girls have all the fun? Men are out there. I think they are doing everything that it takes to create that impression, to make a mark in the world, or I don't know, please somebody, or I think just create that first great impression.
Mm.
And clothing was the best thing ever, right? Because one, what does new clothes do to you? It just instantly, it's an instant boost of confidence,
Mm.
right? I love going to the gym. If I bought something new for gym, it's going to push me the next day extra harder, right? If I'm lifting something 5-10 kgs, I will go extra. Array, this new energy that's coming to me from it's a thought, right?
Mm-hmm.
Similar at work when you're just getting complimented on wearing something new, it's an instant boost.
Mm-hmm.
That was a thought wherein we men were lacking, men were not getting complimented, men want to be complimented, but weren't getting a chance to be. Other than occasions, whether it's a marriage or it's a party or something where you're dressing your best. But why can't we normalize this and make this an everyday thing, right? And this is exactly what, or this is the gap that we found, or this is the thought that we wanted to actually culminate into a behavior, and we went all out on this. Thought people first, what's going to happen today? Every time I think we've conducted so many focus group discussions, there's only one thing that has come out and stood out so strongly for us, that I've worn many brands across the years. I've worn many brands, but in the recent times, what has happened is every time I've worn a Snitch shirt, I've gotten compliments. I don't even know how. I've looked. Of course, I put some effort into dressing myself every day, but every time I've worn a Snitch shirt, and I've realized that I've gotten complimented.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that boost and that suddenly started bringing loyalty into the consumer automatically, because you're adding that impact or creating an impact in his life via these compliments or these emotional factors, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's when we realized, what, we're doing something great. I think let's
Yeah.
make that better and then keep pushing boundaries over and above this.
Fantastic. I think, product and, as you said, the emotion and story, I think, are the two takeaways for me which are important. But I'll kind of probe you further on this, because often they sound a little bit vague for me. So let's say I am a person who's just starting out, and I fully buy your point, right? Like, product is the king. We need to ensure that the messaging of care, emotion, kind of goes to the end customer. But how do you really do that, right? Let's say an apparel brand. Do you
Right.
recommend that I create a nice brand? What does that mean? A website, a video, and then what, I distribute that through Meta, Google? Like, if you can kind of give me a little bit more specifics, if I'm a new brand, what's that 6-month strategy I should maintain?
Yeah, see, what needs to happen here is, I think you don't have to chase perfection for sure, right? Because the minute you're chasing perfection and waiting for everything to be perfect,
Mm,
you're never going to land. Nothing is ever perfect.
right.
I think start off scrappy, doesn't matter. Build credibility. Make your first sale. Make it. It doesn't matter. I think that's the first thing that will give you, I think, the most immense joy, right? Make
Right.
that first sale. Discover platform. Discover. See what is the product. Who's your target audience? Where are they hanging out the most? Now there are a million apps, right? Now you're confused. Should I just do a Meta or should I just do a Google? What do you want to do today? I know my audience is spending most of his time on Instagram. I think that's the first go-to channel. Sure,
Mm,
after that they're going to come on to a Google, or those are a lot more evolved audience, right? Because when you're building a brand, you need Google for sure, because I categorize it in very two simple ways. If you want to make your first business or first scale, which is a 1 to 10, I think Instagram is your instant booster to do this. But when it's the next journey where you're into, now you're focusing on brand building and you want a lot more organic audience, you want a lot more trust building that needs to happen, then start moving to Google, because that's where people come, look for you, search for you. But if
mhm.
you're going to do everything at once, and you know what, you're going to wait for the perfect moment, I'm going to wait for this to get started, that to get plugged in, I think you're never going to start. You can chase perfection, but nothing is ever perfect. I think you have an idea, you have a product, I think start. It doesn't matter even if it's a WhatsApp sale. I think people have started, like Dunzover started there, right?
Yeah.
Giving an example, it was on a WhatsApp group where people were taking in orders. Okay, I'll deliver this for you. I'll deliver that for you. So I think means of sales are immense. Wherever that you are able to do it, just start off and start building on the go. Don't chase perfection.
Got it. I think that's some really, really profound feedback, right? I think it's so important for you to know that you to keep on trying and making your own use cases at the end of the day. There's a lot of advice going around, but I think the best is just try it yourself. A
Yeah,
lot of people go into this analysis paralysis, and then they don't really do anything. They're just thinking, and unfortunately, thinking doesn't move any needle. Uh,
nothing.
I want to now, ask you questions from the perspective of you being a recruiter, right? Of, let's say, marketing people. What do you look out for in marketers today? If you're building a team, right? What are those skills which are a must have for you?
See, a must have, at least in the marketing team, right, is I genuinely don't bother or don't care too much about resumes. I spend barely 5 minutes on a resume, right? I call them for an in-person interview always. Judge how they are. Are they an extrovert or an introvert? How do they talk? Do they have command over uh, their personality itself, right? What is it that you're building? Because see, a marketer needs to be like out there. Marketing is one job that is shameless. If you're not shameless, right, then you're not a marketer, or you can't be a marketer. Because like, see, today, right, if you're supposed to dance for a damn reel, you're supposed to dance for a damn reel. It doesn't matter, right? I'm getting into a very stupid thing, but of course there are much broader things. But this is what it takes, because there are so many things that you need to do. You're running around the office, you're running around different departments. If you think it's a desk job, then it's not.
Mm,
Right, how collaborative are you? What's the kind of skill sets apart from marketing? Where else are you involved in? What else do you do? I think those are more aspects of, or in a person, that I look out. Definitely, I think the job thing, or what he or she can solve for me, that's the last, right?
mm,
But what is it that's her hidden talent? What is it that she can actually bring to the table? What's the differentiator? I think that's where the final judgment, final call is.
100%, 100%. I want to now ask you about AI and how it's really transforming every industry today, right? Now, if I'm a young marketer, I think what you mentioned are core skills and the core behavioral aspects of how you should kind of think of being a person, or as a colleague in marketing. But when it comes to tangible skills, right? Like sometimes people were using, marketing clouds. Some people were kind of really good with performance and advertising clouds and whatnot. I think
Yeah.
that is kind of blurring, right? It's all becoming like chat based. Today you can talk to any AI and it'll do anything for you. And definitely in 1 year, it'll probably do anything for you.
Right.
We all know AI has to be embraced, but I just thought I'll put you on the spot and ask you, what is, according to you, the most underrated use case of AI, and what do you think is the most overrated use case of AI? If you could start with probably underrated first, and maybe contextual to marketing. Yeah.
See, underrated is the kind of automations that AI is supposed to be doing or is doing,
Hmm.
and people don't know about. That is highly underrated today, because even when I look at, or probably connect with so many folks, right, in similar industries, or who are running small time agencies, they're all just chasing, okay, I can give you outdoor looking images, I can do this, it takes 1 hour, it takes 2 hours, I have a tool built for it. But there is so much automation that's already happened, and you can plug and play this all by yourself internally, and it can start testing out creatives for you, start testing out copies for you. There are simple workflows that you can actually create and automate every damn thing, and you can just sit back and see how it shapes up. Sure, give them your prompts, give them, feed them the brand language, right? What you stand for, what's the tone of voice, what's the visual aid, and there is magic happening around out there. I think if people start adopting or people start learning, I think it's such a booster for them to try out different types of formats that work for them or don't work for them, and stop wasting that money or energy or resources, right? That is something I'm truly banking on.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much trial and error that we are able to do today. Work on much larger things with real people, folks, humans, right? Because that's what they will do. They will bring a lot more impact. But your everyday BAU sort of things, I think automate the damn thing. It's
True.
right there for you. So yeah,
Totally.
that's.
Totally. And what about overrated?
I think overrated today is changing faces, or catalog shoot, this and that. I think it's getting so abused. It's so, I don't know. I genuinely feel that tomorrow, real, like, human shoots are going to just become more expensive. You know what? I'm shooting with a real human over here, and so it's going to charge. It's going to cost you 1 lakh over an AI. So I think that's the most overrated. I think the way it falls, the way it looks. Even AI videos to some factor, yes, you can get certain things, a lot of things done. But I think that human feeling, human touch, for me personally, is this. So I think the photo shoot bit, yes, it is exploding. But I still prefer actually just shooting real faces, show real people, because you're selling to real people, right? They need to really know how it's going to look, how is it going to feel.
True.
For me,
True.
I think I'm a big believer, or at least a pro for this when it comes to at least in the marketing side of things and how things are getting, I think, exploding in this particular space.
Fantastic. I think, as you said, human artistry is going to become so rare that it's going to become a premium.
Yeah,
Because there's going to be a lot of AI slop around, I think, because these things are so easy, everybody's doing it, which means most things are going to be very mediocre.
yeah,
So I couldn't agree more. Um, I want to just kind of move to the last question now, and that's more like a parting thought for you, Chetan, which is uh, if I'm a young marketer and I want to become a CMO one day, uh, what's your advice to me, right? What should I do in the earlier parts of my career? So maybe I'm a marketing leader one day.
yeah. I think one thing that you need to, or anybody actually in this particular journey or path, right, who's very clear, this is my vision, this is what I want to get in, be it in the next 2, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. Don't stay limited to marketing as your role. Uh, the role of actually a marketer is a lot more to do with product, a lot more to do with people, a lot more to do with sales, a lot more to do with business. And it's just not how should I sell this, or what ad should I run, or how should I do it, or what's, it's just not strategy, but it's
Mm,
the entire business itself, right? Uh, he's like the left or right hand of the business,
yeah.
right? Because they need to go hand in hand. And you will be devising either the products or strategy, how you'll be running the business basically, right? So don't limit yourself. I think go out there, explore every damn department, be it even finance, accounting, doesn't matter. You don't know where the idea is going to come in from. You don't know how is this going to affect your thinking or ideation process in a certain spectrum. And that is the path. People think just by cracking great ideas or great concepts, you know what, oh yes, I'm going to do it, and this is the next, you become a designer, you become a creative director, you start writing copies, and then okay, I'm the CMO. I don't think so. So I think an overall business overview is very, very, very critical. And if you're in that business, or if you're there, ask, even if you're on an agency side, I think ask the right questions. How did this happen, or why are you doing what you're doing?
Mm.
Probably spend time with your clients, be part of events that they're organizing, or you're helping them do it, right? Be on ground, so you grasp in so much more, and there is so much more learning that is only going to help you, I think, frame your thoughts better and frame your future better.
Awesome. That's a fantastic point to end the podcast on. Thank you so much, Chetan. I hope you had a good time.
Amazing. Yeah, it's a pleasure. And I think the work that you've been doing is also tremendous, and sharing so much information out there, which is so consumable and makes sense. So hats off.
Thank you so much. That's really sweet of you. If all of you, who have tuned in so far, thank you for, giving us your time. If you'd like to hear another marketing leader like Chetan, please subscribe to our channels. A new episode will be out very, very soon. Bye bye.
Awesome. See you guys. See you.
See you. And